say Gary called you today, or did he call someone? I think Gary's lonely. He misses these videos. I hope he's watching.
He stopped by my house a couple of times. If I don't hear from him in 4 or 5 days, I'll give him a call, just to check on him. He and I have been friends a long time.
All right, we are live. So even though we don't start for another 3 minutes, he could be watching you early. This is the pre-show.
Preview.
It's Upson. How do you put it up? Upson County. Upson County Board of Commissioners on YouTube. That's true. You can be watching us yourself if you want. Pull it up on your phone. Tammy, Thomas, Debbie. We'll build another house in Upson County. Us and Antioch Baptist Church, our church, Rock Springs, and Boston Church Baptist. Storm House. I got asbestos testing back last week. Got demo permits. Got plans. We're going to build a new house.
Where's it going to be located at?
On Bypass Road, 28th from Boston.
Did you get caught in a tornado?
Yeah. Yeah, toward the back of his house. He's 70 years old, got 2 kids. It's mentally challenged from a car wreck. When, his wife left him when they were babies. His mama was keeping the kids and pulled out in front of traffic, and she got killed, T-boned, and the 2 kids were messed up. And the son is pretty destructive. I mean, they're probably close to 50. And so we do a whole complete concrete block house. That concrete's already been donated. Blocks have been donated. Trusses have been donated. All the wiring's been donated. HVAC's been donated.
Have you spoken to Tracy like that?
Yeah, I've seen pictures from stuff. Roger was out there not too long ago, and had some pictures of stuff she's done inside. Yeah.
Ready? Ready? All right. Call to order the June 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Hilton,
Here.
Commissioner Dawson,
Here.
Vice Chair Beatty is absent tonight. Madam Chair, we have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over these? Any changes? Do I have a motion to approve as is?
I'll take a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. So approved.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Next is old business. There's none on the schedule for tonight. New business. Doug, do you want to go ahead and call him for new business? Or do you want?
When you open the public hearing.
Okay. Application for minor subdivision variance, plat for Robin Culper House, 1045 Old Alabama Road, 18.35 acres, parcel number 032009 for adjoining flag lot access points. We will open the public hearing.
All right, Mr. Millen, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, this is the public hearing. We've opened it for this agenda item. You wish to speak, you may, whatever opening statements you want to make, and then the planning commissioners may ask you questions. We will keep this mic open for as long as this hearing and this agenda item are open. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all for having me. This is a plat of the property that I was contracted to divide it into 3 tracts for a family. It's a mother and 2 daughters. And in keeping with dividing a piece of property into 3 tracts, it becomes, as you know, a minor subdivision. And as such, the frontage of this tract was such that I could not meet all of the access requirements. In the ordinance, it requires that if you have a flag lot, that it has a minimum of 30 feet of frontage, and that they cannot be side by side. And as you can see, I'm assuming that you have a copy of the plat in front of you. We meet the 30 feet, or meet all the distance requirements, but in this case, because of the existing house location and an existing drive location, I could not avoid putting the 2 flag lots side by side. Now, a flag cannot be over 500 feet in length, so we meet that requirement. As you can see, they're about 273 feet, and only one of those is at depth. So we meet every criteria with the exception of 2 adjacent flag lots. So the application is for a variance to accomplish this subdivision with that variance of having 2 flag lots adjacent to each other.
Okay. Do we have any questions, Mr. Miller? Jeff?
No,
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve or deny variance? There's no questions? Do you have a presentation?
Just very brief.
I mean, I didn't know if you had, okay.
A
other than
staff
what we already
report.
had. Yeah, if you want to do that, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
David, could you mute your phone until you want to talk again?
Sure.
Thanks. Or if we ask a question. We're hearing the meeting 20 seconds later. All right, as you've heard, that on the phone, the surveyor David Millen, and he's proposed this minor subdivision for Robin Culverhouse, dividing this 18.35 acres on Old Alabama Road. The property is zoned AR, and you see that 2 of those lots have that 30-foot frontage. In the report, you'll see this is the section of the code that talks about flag lots and what is and what isn't permitted. There's the line that addresses the fact that they must be separated by the frontage of a standard lot. In AR, that means there should be a separation of 150 feet between the planning commission. Generally, if this is a minor subdivision plat that has no issues, it meets all the requirements, I sign off on it and you only never see it. And most of the subdivisions that go through the county are minor subdivisions. However, I do not have the powers of the administrator to grant variances or waivers. Only the planning commission can do that. So, like with this plat, anytime they want to do something that is contrary to the ordinance, then it's got to come before y'all. Variances, this is the paragraph that talks about variances, where the planning commission must find extraordinary or unnecessary hardships may result from the strict compliance with the chapter. This is the aerial. If you want me to toggle back and forth, this is a north-south view, whereas the plat that you've got, you know, it's sort of over on its side. Geographically, you can see that, let's see, there we go. Sort of come to the middle here, and then both of these divide out at the back. So if we toggle back, you can see where two of them split somewhere over here, and then the other one finishes up right in here. So like I said, you can sort of visualize. You've got the map in front of you, so I'll keep the aerial. You get the plat, so you can sort of visualize where it is. But it's a very simple question, is whether you grant the variance for the adjacent, we call them the flag poles, or the flag sticks, the flag lots, or do you not? That's the end of the staff report, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other?
I have a question. Track 81, what is the building that's on that track, Mr. Doug? And will that building stay there, or
It's a
will the
house.
move going to take that?
Yeah, that is currently the residence for the property owner.
Okay,
It's being lived in right now.
okay, and on the next track, on track 2, I see a frame well house, and there's another structure of some sort there. Elaborate on that, if you would, please.
I did not go into the property, so maybe Mr. Millen can help you with that.
Can I pose that question to him?
Yeah.
You can
Sure.
check
Mr. Millen,
Yes,
on track A2, is there a home on that property also?
no, there was, back in, before all this got divided into the state, there was an existing mobile home back there and a well. The
Okay.
well exists, that mobile home is no longer in place, and that's their intended location of a new house, at that point.
Okay.
Kevin, on track 3, where will the building be located on that lot?
Anywhere behind the 150-foot building line that are shown on the plat, that's another of the ordinances you have to meet. There's a minimum 150 feet of width in order to build a house. So the building lines are shown, so you could place it per the ordinance anywhere behind those lines on A2 and A3. But their intent is to put it in the back.
I don't
Yeah.
have anything else.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, I don't.
We close the public hearing, do I have a motion to approve or deny?
We close the
Variance?
public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's unanimous?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Millen. The plat will be approved. If you want whatever copies you want to get into my office for my stamp and signature, we'll take care of it.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay, item B is discussion of amateur radio antenna height standards. Speakers Bill Hens. I believe you have.
This is not technically a public hearing, just he's going to share his information and knowledge. Mr. Pence, this is Doug Courier. I'm at the meeting of the Planning Commission for Upson County. I'm turn you, the speaker on, and you'll be able to pose your questions.
They're doing all the work to get that. Plus, some of the pieces that I have, I don't think would be able to be certified because they're old or the company's out of business or I can't find the specs on them to begin with. So those are kind of the fundamental reasons for most of that. Did you has the committee had a chance to look over the materials I provided that showed the numbers for the surrounding counties?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm having trouble hearing.
Yes, we have.
Okay, were there any specific questions or concerns with those?
I have no concerns about raising our limit. I do have some concerns about him erecting a tower that's, without knowing that it's substantial.
I didn't hear an answer. Were there specific concerns or questions with?
Okay, I know that the FCC really is up on amateur radios, being available for disaster times and stuff like that.
I'm barely hearing whoever's speaking. I'm sorry, it's not coming through at all.
I can yell.
Okay.
I know that the FCC is very up on having amateur radio operators around because of disaster times that help in getting communications out. And I think that 35 feet is pretty restrictive, and compared to other counties, I wouldn't have a problem raising it. My problem is what kind of equipment and what do you how do you know what you need to require to make this pole stand at 65 feet?
Well, generally speaking, I'm going kind of as high as I can afford. For some of the band, higher is better. And I've kind of put together a system where the top of my system is going to be about 65 feet. And going higher than that brings guiding requirements and materials at the base that just get, more than I'm going to be able to support. So excellent question. Before we brought that up, I've gone through the manufacturer of my tower is a company called Rohn, R-O-H-N, and they published basic engineering guidelines for height, the base requirements for the amount of concrete there at the base, the guying anchors, the guy wires, and so forth. And I am following with a couple of modifications that I've calculated through their guidelines very closely to make sure that this is going to be a substantial enough tower to weather whatever thunderstorms might interfere with this. They designed these to an EIA standard that I can't remember is a 90 mile an hour wind gust survivability. So that's what I'm using to do this and calculate how much antenna I can put on and what type of guide wires and what type of guide wire anchor I'm going to need. So it is the manufacturer's documents that I'm using for that. But of course, they're not necessarily PE sealed in my case.
Okay. The reason I was asking, you said that some of your parts were custom handmade, and they're not something that is designed by a company that's manufactured this tower.
So in comparing those with the manufacturer things, the ones that have been done here are bigger and heavier duty than the equivalent of what Rohn makes for that same function.
Are you HF or VHF, UHF, or both?
Yes.
All?
There will be an HF antenna and several VHF and UHF antennas on top of this tower.
How many guy wires will we require for a 65-foot tower?
Two sets of guide wires.
How far is this antenna going to be set back?
I'm sorry, I can't hardly hear you. What was it again? How far is what?
How far will the antenna be set back onto your property?
About 150 feet. I haven't measured that. It will actually be a tilt over as part of the setup, and it will not get anywhere near the road.
Is there,
Was that kind of the point of your question?
Yeah, yes, how about other
Okay.
property lines?
or structure?
Structures.
Nowhere near any of the property lines. The property lines the other property lines are even further away than what the road is.
How,
Yes, should something happen, it will be 100% well contained within my property. Which I certainly hope that doesn't happen, you know, like we talk about crash elements, so I hope not, but,
Madam Chair, I do have a couple of questions. Mr. Pence, this is Doug Courier.
Yes.
What are the construction standards? What agency or what department or company are you suggesting that we would follow if we were to cite construction guidelines in the ordinance? What guidelines would those be? Are they federal requirements or somebody?
no, they aren't. I would suggest that you put, you know, by the guidelines of the tower manufacturer, because there's multiple different tower manufacturers. In my case, like I said, it's Rowan on OHN, but I would say that, you know, that it should be following the tower manufacturer's guidelines.
All right, and also, apparently you do have a lot of acreage and that's not a problem for you, but what if a ham operator is on a very small lot? Would you agree that the tower fall has got to be a minimum, that if you can't contain a felled tower on your property, you probably shouldn't have that tower there?
I don't know, I don't have an opinion of that. I see your logic and point, and it may be better put that, that it would, you know, that a minimum liability is required if the tower, and you may even put that it would require variance so that the neighbors would have an opportunity to chime in.
Is your tower location in a low-lying area? Or elevated area?
I'm not sure what the overall topography of Upson is. I am right along the Upson-Lamar line, so I don't know if I'm in a high area of Upson or the low area.
No, I'm talking on your personal property, are you putting it in a bottomland or on top of a crest?
My land is sloping downward. It'll be kind of in the lowerish area relative to my property, but the property is relatively flat.
Opinion on the county permitting these versus not permitting them?
Oh, I've got no issue applying for getting a building permit for this. You know, it had been that the licensed professional requirement made it such that I wouldn't be able to get from here to there. If I'm not 100% sure that I understand how the whole county ordinances work, but if does a 34-foot tower right now require a building permit at all?
Yes, it would.
Okay. I'll have separate questions about that because I've tried to dig through and find where that applicability would be, and the only place I found when I searched for permit, well, this is a separate conversation. But no, I have no issue with applying for and getting a building permit. The only issue was with these requirements, I could never get there. So I guess then the question is, what will the requirements be for that?
Folks that could look over a draft ordinance, are you our only ham operator in the county?
I haven't connected. I've only lived here a short time, for about 3 years, and most of the folks that I've been hanging around with have been in Lamar. I do know a couple of the Upson guys that I could enlist to help review this, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else from Spence? Okay. Mr. Pence, I think we've got all of our questions answered.
Okay, just if I can be pushy, do we have an idea in it?
I don't think we've got that number yet. I think we
Okay.
need to put some more thought behind this.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you very much for considering and answering, and I will reach out to some of the local
ups and hams and see what I can enlist there, and anticipate perhaps a review document in some period of time.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gather additional research and come up, as you know, do a draft ordinance, and you're aware that we have a long list of ordinances that the commissioners would like to see. I have been told this one is now on top, so this will be the next ordinance that we need to work on. This one, compared to some of your others, will be not that difficult, it's just a matter of doing the research and getting a draft for y'all. Obviously looking at other counties other than the ones that are cited here, federal legislation, other state legislation, and see what is out there. I certainly have no deal for what the height would be. Certainly I would want inspection, even if the inspection was according to the,
Whether it's realistic or not, that if it falls over, it falls as one.
It's not gonna get anything. That's right.
Well, if it's 100 feet tall, it's got to have 100 feet plus before it.
Plus clear, absolutely.
That's right.
at least the neighbors, if it hits your house.
Well, the road, I would say a property line. You know, if it's farther than that from a property line, then, or the road.
In your research, did you run across how we are?
Wes raw here. I mean, he approached one of our commissioners. I got an email from the county administrator, and here you are. So I really haven't spent any time on this. The 35 feet is sort of the base. That's it's a permitting thing. In our ordinances, you'll require when we change the C2M1 for our satellite dish, 35 feet was the cutoff for certain zoning districts. Then above 35 feet, you know, you could be, or had to be in a different zoning district. But what the magic number, why 35? There might have been some regulation, I don't know. Could have been arbitrary. No, I don't know the basis for the 35 feet. Okay. But I do.
You know, that, now at 35 feet, I did call amateur radio operator and talk to them. The HF signal, antenna can be 12 feet off the ground. At 35 feet, where he's located in part of the county, he probably could repeat off of a tower in Wall County and Upson County at 35 feet up, unless he is in a low-lying area. But I also did some research and said, you know, FCC is very, what's the word I want to say?
Very stringent.
Yeah, they are, but they really push you. They're real. I don't say pushy, but they're really on top of how radio operates. I mean, I see them because they had an ordinance like this, and the county wound up paying them 60 grand. You know, because they denied him a taller tower because the radios help during disaster times. And the taller the tower, better signal. But in emergency situations, 35 feet, he could get out. But it would be better to be taller. And the 75 feet, I looked through some different stuff here in different counties.
It's pretty consistent.
That's
75 feet.
Yeah, that's
70 to 75.
75 is a pretty good thing. But now, the thing that got me, he said there are several technical reasons why, you know, related to him, the 35 feet not being useful. Yeah, I mean, it is restrictive. My biggest problem is him putting up a tower with homemade parts.
Enhance his equipment to improve.
Sure, but he's got handmade parts for that tower. So my parts are used, and some are custom handmade parts for the tower. Instead of all of his parts are not parts that are manufactured by a tower company.
I took that to mean like that the white part right there, the tower itself is made by this company Realm. What's coming off of that left to right is what is
Maybe so.
handmade parts. That's how I interpreted it. Now, I may be wrong, but
The tower
tower itself,
if the parts towers are manufactured by some company that makes them, they're gonna be, PE certified, they're gonna be spec'd out, you know. But there's a lot of technical stuff in how much tension is on those guy wires. The proper angle of those guy wires are to the ground. If they're too loose, then, you know, in the wind, it can fold up. If they're too tight, then it's too rigid against the wind, will cause another problem. The tensile strength can be too strong, and the wind will pop it, guy wires.
Well, then you get back to this towel, making sure that it would not fall on anybody else and that
Right,
sort of thing. So that seems to be covered based on what I understood.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you got enough property clearance, where if it fails, it's not gonna hit anything.
Yeah, that would not present a problem for any neighbor or anything like that. If the tile goes down, it's down, that's nothing else to be said.
Right.
When they erect a tower, they're supposed to submit a site plan for that tower.
As part of our building permit process is to require a site plan.
It'd been nice if we would have had a site plan to look over his
Well,
property and everything.
I guess when he submits a building permit at that point, of
Right.
course, right now, he wants to submit a building permit for something.
He's just trying to get the ordinance changed so that he will
So he
comply,
can
so he will
comply.
comply with the ordinance is what he's after at this point. He's not asking for a permit to build, you know, to erect it, is what he's after.
He did his research, and thank him for doing that, that's great, and found out, oops, I can't do what I want to do, so he approached one of the commissioners, and then that made its way to the county manager.
He gave you this picture?
No, I just pulled that off.
Okay.
There were bunches of different kinds of pictures that claimed to be ham radio or amateur radio towers, so
Yeah,
there's lots of them out there.
There's a tower that's basically pretty much a freestanding with minimum guy wires. There's a mast tower that that's completely held up by guy wires.
This is just one example that somebody might have or ask for.
I think, I mean, just thinking out loud, when we start this discussion of looking at this, I'd like to understand better what the tower he's talking about looks like compared to that. Not wait until it's a building permit, but if he could share some information that he has on what that tower would look like, what those requirements are from Rome, ROHN. If we could see what those requirements are, or what those specs are, I think that may give us some guidance
That's where I
into
was going
some
with it.
Yeah, I mean,
specific
that-
requirements.
I think whatever we do, you're gonna have to require certain standards for that tower.
Right.
You know, the point being right now is if we're gonna allow a tower called and set 35 feet, and then set the standards for what you're gonna set for that tower to be. You know, whether we're gonna require a company's PE plans. You know, when they purchase a building permit, they're gonna have to have.
And I think having the information he has would be very valuable to us in determining what we want to include in that, how we want to include it in that. So that we can make it more defined to make sure that what we're proposing is to the best of our ability.
Now, he used the wrong term, but we'll use the right one here. Would you want these to be by special exception? Or would they be by right as long as they meet the requirements? Or does it matter, or would you think it would be different depending? Basically, you recognize this as a residential type thing. Somebody would be putting this in their backyard. Well, there's another thing. Do you require it in the backyard, the side yard? Can it be in the front or side? All those are issues too. But Would you want this only by special exception, or would you want it by right, knowing that it's got to meet the requirements of the ordinance?
Well, if we set the height at 70 feet and require there's enough clearance that it wouldn't hit anything if it fell in any direction, nobody really ain't gonna put it in the backyard unless they got a lot of acreage. They're not gonna put it in a subdivision. Because it's not gonna meet the standard.
Well, we have a lot of lots and subdivisions that are 1 acre, and that would easily fit in on a 1 acre lot.
If you put it in the middle, but that's still, it puts it into that standard, it's gotta fit that distance. You know, they're not gonna go well hit a Vestavia and be able to put one in the backyard. You know, because the lot size is not big enough to allow it.
Now, do you care what yard it's in? Can it be front, side, or rear?
Or if he was gonna have it installed by someone who.
No, he's a DIY, he's gonna do it himself. He says in the thing, he said, I'm a DIYer, I'm gonna do it myself.
Okay, if you're gonna have some good help to do that with, then, you know, that might be all right, but we need to make sure that we cover the bases on that, for sure.
Well, I'm unaware of any requirements that there's a licensed contractor requirement, and most licensed contractors probably don't do a lot of tower work. So a contractor that does tower work is going to be kind of a unique kind of thing. He wants to do it himself, and I'm going to guess most ham operators do it themselves. Maybe with other ham operators.
And I was trying to read some of the placement, stuff like that.
We can look at that.
Can we look at that just to see what other counties are around us, the ones that he's got in here? Just from a standpoint of where positioning it, how they detail
What are their standards?
requirements, how detailed is it? But I'd definitely like to, if we can get from him for the antenna that he's looking to put up, some information on that, just as, to be able to see how that, what that looks like, what it looks like, and how that, what that reads. Anything else? Okay. All right, item C.
Numbers, we reviewed your rules of procedure to see if we want to do any that you'll see. I do take notes over the course of the year, and what do I think we need to shore up or have some guidance. And so the first of all, those are mine and only my suggested changes based on just observations over the last couple of years of how conduct of the public hearing and how that's supposed to be done. And I think that I have always had a copy, but it's not a bad idea to actually have them, the commissioners as well as your secretary, to make sure that this is done. The other two I think are pretty self-explanatory. But please, if you've got any rule changes that you think should go in, we certainly need to discuss that also, Madam Chair. So they're pretty simple and straightforward explanations. If we want to discuss any of the specific ones, you don't adopt them at your first meeting. The rules of procedure basically say you have them the first time discussed and then you vote at the second meeting. So this would be your evening for discussion, making any changes that you see that you'd like to make and propose, and then you'd adopt them at your next meeting.
Any comments? The only, not really anything different, but on grounds for decisions, just something I know I'm guilty of this, is making sure that when we are making a motion, that we are stating what we're basing that motion on, for the record. Just so that we're providing a reason for why we're making the motion, whether to approve or deny. Sometimes we get away from that But that's something we need to be conscious of. That's the only thing that I had with that, just as a reminder. Anything else? Alright. Next thing is, there's no other business. Planning Commissioner issues and announcements. Anybody have anything? Alright. Secretary's issues and announcements. The McRae rezoning Yearwood special exception.
Yes, the hearing will be tomorrow, and I believe that the meeting will be conducted pretty much like this, so there's not going to be a crowd in there for these two hearings. Really, the only update is for Yearwood, in that the Flint River Keepers apparently did not know about this before it went before the Planning Commission, but they have heard about it since, and they've, I got one phone call, an email, open records request for all the stuff that had happened prior. And I know that they've been rallying their people. I don't think that they're directly opposed. I think they have concern. And they certainly endorsed, in what I saw, the requirement, the limitation that it not be commercial. I think they would have a whole different perspective if it was allowed to be a commercial town. So that's it. The hearings are tomorrow. So you can watch the live stream if you want to at home. The Census 2020 update. First off, the latest news is tomorrow we will be having tables for at least a part of the day at all of the polling places. Tomorrow is the early voting for the primary voting. And actually this last day, it's not early voting, this is primary day. So we will be there with tables, maybe not all day, maybe for a chunk of the day. And we certainly want to thank Commissioner Dawson for being one of our volunteers, for being there for a shift. We're going to do the best we can to rally the troops. In the material that I'm about to go over, you'll see that we're around 60%, which means we still got 40% of the county that has not responded yet, and we need to. And that's not quite 40, really. That's not realistic. You have vacancies, vacant buildings, which won't have anybody in them. And we don't want to count the people who just refuse, that are never going to turn it in anyway. We know that there's as high as we can. So we will be out there with the various tables at the 4 polling places. And going over the material that you had in your packet, this is just, you can actually get a daily summary off the Census Bureau. Right now, nationally, there's a 60.6% return rate. Georgia is 56.8, which places us 35th in the country. In the state of Georgia, Upson County has 60.3, and this is as of yesterday. So these are, these are as of the 3rd. So here, these numbers are a few days old. 60.3%, which ranks us 24th out of 159 counties, which is, in my opinion, for a small rural county, we should be very proud of those results that were number 24 out of 159. Now we also get to drill down a little bit and see where the response is great and where it's not so good. And so we'll see, go over to this, we'll go to that one first. You can see that in the northeast part of the county, that's where we're a little bit behind. We've got 56.6% response. That's sort of in the area of the Rock and Yatesville, and what I call upper Logtown. It doesn't go, full length of Logtown, but in that, and then the middle of the county is somewhere in the middle. So we really, we're going to be over in the Yatesville polling place. We are fully staffing that for 8 hours tomorrow. That's our emphasis, to get as much contact with the people there and to talk to them about the census. We will be at the other polling places, but they're not maybe fully manned. We may not be there as long as we are over in the northeast section. And then, I won't go through these results, but you can see, you were asking about our neighbors when it comes to the towers. This is the results of our neighbors when it comes to census response. And so you can see we're doing pretty good compared to the neighbors, which is a good thing. So as I always do, I encourage that, I'm sure that all of you have done your census returns, but please encourage your friends and family members and neighbors, whoever they got to get theirs in so that we can increase that number. And yes, the bottom line, it comes down to representation at the state and federal level, and it comes down to money through various programs of the federal and state government. So, and these numbers last for 10 years. So whether they're really great numbers or not so great, we got them for 10 years. And that's my report on the census, Madam Chair.
Okay.
One more item. We are having a second interview on. I may be able to send you out an email. I certainly won't wait until your next meeting, but you may see the intern if we do hire her at the next meeting. So, but Wednesday will be second interview, and I'm sure we'll make our decision, and she'll make a decision. I think Friday will be decision day. So, I know you had asked about the intern last time, so preempted, and we said it first here. And we'll, like I said, once it's approved, if it's confirmed, we'll get an email out telling you a little bit about it. And that concludes my items, Madam Chair.
Awesome. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
And 6:20. Now, all right.
So you got 2 more weeks, huh? But you're driving now, so that's gotta be an improvement. Are you happy or is your wife happy?
Both of us. Both of us.
Right, we finished up at 6:20, so you can turn off the live stream whenever you're ready. Thank you. All right, as far as I know, we are live for the rest of this. Got his answering machine, so
Okay.
we are on.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
I'm gonna let you get by, I'll fall behind you rather than in front of you.
Well, I was gonna have to out of here then.